you caught up with him and his jubilant teammates after the match.
Gilbert, Victoria Park, bit of a hoodoo, but a great win today.
Oh, it was just magnificent. I've never been out here before. This is the first time I've ever seen the Oval, so I was just looking forward to it. Everyone's spoken about it, but geez, it was good to come up with a win.
And something you'll never forget?
Oh, well, you know, I reckon this match is last year's finals. Just a great feeling, isn't it?
Now, last week, after you beat the Swans, it was basically pretty quiet when you came into the rooms, but tonight, there was real adulation, so there must have been a big build-up during the week.
That's right. You know, we really look forward to playing Collingwood, and, you know, they're a side that we've had some great duels over the last few years, and, you know, when we beat them, and especially out here, you know, it feels really good.
Now, the win's something to always cherish, but, I mean, your form, fantastic out there today.
Oh, I was just happy to do the job, you know. Plugger was out, and we all had to chip in, all the forward boys, and kick a couple, but I was just happy to get a few.
Was that noticeable talk before the game that you really knew you had to fill in for the big fella and had to do it yourselves?
Well, we just, you know, I think every one of us knew it ourselves, you know. We know that he kicked 8 last week, and, you know, we just had to all chip in. You know, we just knew that. And
mate, where are you going tonight? Because I'm coming.
Well, no, I'll have to be a quiet night on it, see what happens.
Thanks, Gil.
McAdam were absolute stars. McAdam kicked 5 goals in his best ever game for St Kilda, while the Mercurial Winmar sealed the match and would have to be very close to leading the Brownlow medal voting. In his 3rd year at the club, Gilbert McAdam has at times been accused of being a support player. On Saturday, he stepped up to star billing. McAdam booted 5 goals and a best on ground performance, earning accolades from coach Ken Sheldon.
Running is his asset, and streaming down the ground. And, you know, today, to his credit, he was able to do that quite a lot of times on end and finish off with accurate disposal towards goal, culminating in 5, which is a pretty good effort.
It was a big build-up for the game, and our boys, you know, we were quite confident coming into it, and everybody ruled us out of it. But, you know, we knew that if we had a fair go, and, you know, they played on Monday, you know, that we knew they were a bit tired, and the boys just responded today.
Winmar is an established champion. Once again on Saturday, he produced the goods at the right time. Late in the final term with Collingwood within striking distance, Neil Elvis Winmar finished off any hopes the Magpies had. And didn't he enjoy the win?
No pain at the moment, no. It's just great to, you know, when we ran out the race early on in the game, to walk back in like that, it's really good. Solomon today, we're going to forget about this game, but I don't think anybody would forget this game. And we're going to, Colton had a bye today. I'm sure they might have been here watching it. But it's a big game next week, and we've got to win that too.
Oh, it was just great. I can't describe it. I just feel happy. It's great.
Faces the charge of allegedly striking Collingwood defender Michael Christian with an arm to the head.
Christian, oh, courageous mark, and he's down.
Goal umpire Flegg made the report during the 3rd quarter. Last week, the Saints vice-captain and another Ballarat boy, Tony Lockett, was rubbed out for 2 matches. And with injuries to Robert Harvey and Dean Gregg, likely to keep them out for at least a month, Frawley would be sadly missed if suspended.
I just had to go up to the ball then, and, you know, it was there to be won. And unfortunately, you know, Chris O didn't come off too good. It was a good hip and shoulder, and I do the same. So I've got no qualms about getting off whatsoever.
Action on racial abuse. Umpires will be instructed to report players making racist or abusive remarks, but they say they are powerless to stop fans hurling insults from the outer. The move comes after St Kilda's Nicky Winmar and Gilbert McAdam were targeted by sections of the Collingwood crowd on Saturday.
It was a very familiar scene after the match. The Saints had won a tremendous victory, their first at Victoria Park since 1976, and the Collingwood crowd were giving them plenty. What looks like an angry scene is a part of football that both players and spectators enjoy, and on the most part is harmless. But there are always those who overstep the mark, and racist taunts aimed particularly at Aboriginal players are tarnishing the game.
If supporters surrounding those people who make those sorts of comments at the football or use bad language or whatever, if they can, shall we say, give them a bit of a hard time and just reflect that that sort of behaviour is not tolerated, well, then maybe they'll change their ways. But certainly it's impossible for the AFL or any other sort of central body, if you like, to control it.
On the field, the AFL can and will act to stop racial abuse. While sledging of the opposition is a tactic used by all clubs, umpires will be on the lookout for racist remarks designed to put Aboriginal players off their game.
player can be reported for using threatening, obscene or insulting language. So the rules, as I said, cover it, and I'm sure that if an umpire heard that sort of thing going on the field, they would report a player.
The St Kilda Football Club met this morning over the matter and said in a statement that the club totally disagrees with racism but can't hold any organisation responsible for the comments of a handful of spectators. They say it is not a big issue. Nicky Winmar himself says he's not concerned, he's black and proud of it. Gilbert McAdams says it has taken him 3 years to adapt to football's culture.
You know, I'm starting to feel good with the club now, so, you know, I just hope it continues now.
In the past month, racist sledging was the topic of Essendon President David Shaw's pre-match address. The Bombers have a number of Aboriginal players in their lineup. As for the barracking of Collingwood supporters, Gilbert McAdams says playing against Collingwood is the highlight of his year.
I always look forward to playing Collingwood because, you know, we've had a few good clashes over the last couple of years and you always seem to find that extra bit against them. And this is the first time I've played here before, so, you know, I was looking to have a big one too.
At Victoria Park last Saturday, and Tony Jones says while the league is unable to control crowd behaviour, it can enforce a rule outlawing racial taunts on the field.
Collingwood supporters have never been the most gracious in defeat, and they did little to improve their reputation after Saturday's loss to St Kilda. Nicky Winmar broke from his normal coolness to hit back at the Magpie Army, who threw everything at him, mostly racial abuse. Knowing only too well what Winmar had to endure on Saturday, former Carlton great Sid Jackson.
This cannot be an excuse that it can be just dismissed because it's on the field. It is a human rights issue, and it's directly related as a racist slur and a burden on a person playing sport.
Jackson, an Aboriginal training officer, has called on the league to put a stop to racism, but while the league can, it's unlikely it will.
The laws of the game currently cover those sorts of situations because a player can be reported for using abusive, threatening or obscene language, so it's a fairly broad rule.
There is no documented evidence that the rule has ever resulted in a report, and it's understood umpires director Bill Dalla has no plans to instruct his men in white to do so in the future.
The umpires don't hear a lot of the comment that goes on between players because it's made in a one-to-one situation off the ball.
Nicky Winmar reiterated today that he's proud to be black, while his club's only comment came via football manager Peter Hudson, who said St Kilda does not support any form of racism. With Australian rules football beamed throughout the world every week, the AFL has an obligation to put an end to on-field racism, not just for our world standing, but to ensure that